The market smelled like oil, blood, and old metal. Bright lights flickered above rows of cages. Screams, laughter, and alien voices filled the air. It was the Black Pit auction, where living beings were sold like objects. Inside one of the small cages sat a young alien girl. Her skin was soft purple, her long silver hair tangled. Chains were wrapped around her thin wrists and ankles. Her eyes, wide and glowing faint blue, were full of fear. Her name was Lyra. She had once lived in a beautiful mountain city. She had once smiled and danced. But now she was just property. She didn't cry anymore. There were no more tears left in her body. In front of her cage stood her ex-lover, Davor, a cruel man from her home planet. He had once held her hand and whispered sweet lies. But when he lost his money and power, he sold everything, her included. He leaned close to the bars. "You were never worth more than this," he hissed. "Be happy someone still wants you." Lyra said nothing. She just looked away. The auctioneer, a fat, green-skinned alien with metal arms, banged a hammer. "Next." "Opie, beautiful female, rare species." Young, trained, and obedient. Lights flashed. The crowd gathered. Lyra's cage was pulled forward. Some aliens whistled. Others laughed. Some just raised their credit chips. The bidding began. 500 credits. 700. 1,000. 2,000. It climbed fast. Lyra closed her eyes. It didn't matter who bought her. No one would be kind. And then a new voice spoke. Calm, cold. 10,000. The crowd fell silent. Everyone turned to look. Standing in the back of the room was a human male. Tall, quiet, dressed in dark battle armor with a black hood over his face. His voice didn't sound like a rich man's. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't here for fun. Davor blinked. "Who the hell are you?" The human walked forward slowly. The auctioneer stuttered, Sir, that's far more than her starting price." "But if you pay," the human dropped a small glowing cube on the table. The cube scanned his fingerprint and confirmed the amount. "Paid," he said. The auctioneer opened his mouth, but the human was already moving toward the cage. He unlocked the door himself. Gently, Lyra pulled back, confused. What are you doing?" "I'm getting you out," the man said. Davor stepped forward, furious. "You don't just buy her and walk away like that. She's mine." The man turned slowly. "No," he said softly. "She was never yours." Davor reached for his blaster, but the human moved faster. His arm shot out, and a shockwave from a hidden wrist device knocked Davor back 10 feet. He hit the wall and fell, groaning. The room froze. The human didn't aim at anyone else. He didn't speak again. He simply looked down at the girl and said, "You're free now." Lyra stared at him like he was not real. "You bought me to let me go?" He nodded. "Yes." "I don't understand." "You don't have to. Just come with me." She hesitated, then slowly reached out. For the first time in years, someone touched her with care. His hand was warm, strong, and kind. The crowd watched in silence as the human walked away with the girl. No one dared stop him. Outside, the cold air hit her face like a new life. She looked up at the stars and blinked. "Who are you?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Then quietly he said, "I'm someone who knows what it means to be used, and what it means to be saved." She looked at him again. She didn't know his name. She didn't know why he cared, but in that moment, for the first time in a long time, she felt safe. The wind howled through the narrow alley behind the auction grounds. Lyra walked beside the strange human in silence. Her legs were shaking. Her body still hurt from the beatings. Her heart was confused. He had saved her, but why? He didn't speak. He just walked with calm steps, like he wasn't afraid of anything. The metal boots on his feet made soft thuds on the ground. His armor had scratches, burn marks, and old blood. This was a man who had fought many battles. Lyra looked up at him. Why did you stop them? She asked quietly. He didn't answer. They stopped near a rusted transport shuttle parked in the shadows. The human opened the door with a small remote. Lights blinked. The ramp dropped with a soft hiss. He turned to her and finally spoke. You need food and rest. I need answers, she said. The man stared at her, silent again. His face was still hidden under his hood. Who are you? She asked. He paused. Then said, You can call me Jaren. Jaren. She repeated the name like it was a soft melody. Inside the ship, warmth wrapped around her. The lights were low and gentle, not like the cold lights of the cages. Jaren pointed to a small seat. Sit, I'll bring food. She obeyed without thinking. Her body was tired, but her mind was racing. He came back with a metal tray. On it were warm bread rolls, a bowl of thick soup, and a flask of clean water. She stared at the food. Her hands trembled. He placed it in front of her but didn't sit down. He just stood back and watched. Lyra picked up the spoon slowly and took her first bite. The soup burned her tongue but she didn't stop. Tears ran down her face as she ate. Not from pain, from surprise. From the strange feeling of being treated like she mattered. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Jaren's voice was steady. Yes, you do. But I was sold, she said. Used. Tossed away like garbage. He looked straight at her. That wasn't your fault. She couldn't look him in the eye. He said I was useless. That I was just a pretty thing to be owned. And when I fought back, he beat me. And sold me. Jaren sat across from her now. Slowly, carefully. People like him, Jaren said. Think power gives them the right to break others. But they're wrong. I've seen too many like him. Were you like me? She asked. Jaren was quiet for a long moment. I was a soldier, he said. Captured once. Tortured. They tried to take everything from me. But someone pulled me out. A stranger. They didn't ask for anything. They just helped me. Lyra stared at him. So, now you do the same? He nodded. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed through the ship. Jaren stood. His face hardened. What's wrong? Lyra asked. He walked to the front console. The screen lit up with alien symbols. A warning. They're coming, he said. Who? The man who sold you. Devore. He has people. He just put a bounty on your head. Lyra's breath caught. Her heart started to race. He wants me back. He won't get you, Jaren said firmly. But I'm no one. I'm weak. No, he said. You're not. He tried to break you, but you're still standing. That takes strength. Lyra looked at her hands. The same hands that had once been chained. The same hands that now held a warm cup. I don't want to be afraid anymore, she said softly. Then don't be, Jaren said. Because from now on, you're not alone. He walked toward the storage bay, opened a crate. Inside was a small stun pistol. He tossed it to her gently. She caught it, surprised. I don't know how to use this, she said. You'll learn, he said. The ship hummed as it lifted off the ground. Stars appeared in the window as they left the planet behind. Lyra clutched the pistol. Her hand still trembled, but something inside her had changed. The man who said no had given her more than freedom. He had given her a chance to fight back. The stars outside the ship moved slowly, like silent watchers of the past. Inside, Lyra sat alone on a small bed. A soft blanket covered her shoulders. Her silver hair was cleaner now, brushed gently by her own hands. But her eyes still carried the weight of fear, the shadows of the cage. She looked around the room. It wasn't large, but it was safe, quiet, warm. For the first time in years, no chains held her down. No voices shouted orders. No hands struck her, but the silence felt strange. She didn't know what to do with freedom. Jaren hadn't spoken much since they left the planet. He had given her space, food, a small room. And then he had vanished into the cockpit like a ghost. She touched the stun pistol he had given her. It rested beside her pillow. It still felt foreign in her hands. She whispered to herself, "I'm not a fighter." Then she heard footsteps. Jaren entered slowly. He wasn't wearing his armor now, just a dark gray shirt and pants. Without the metal plates, he looked human, real, not like the silent warrior who had shocked a room full of monsters. He didn't sit. He stood near the door, respectful. "I have to set coordinates," he said. "We'll be jumping into hyperspace in a few minutes. Just checking you're all right." Lyra nodded, though her throat was tight. Then she surprised herself by speaking. "Do you sleep?" Jaren tilted his head. "Sometimes." "Because I don't," she said. "Not anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. I hear the cage door. I feel the chain around my neck." He looked at her without pity. Only quiet understanding. "I know," he said. She blinked. "You've had those dreams too?" He nodded. "I used to scream in my sleep, wake up sweating. Some nights I still do." Lyra bit her lip. "But you seem so strong." "I had to be," he said. "But strength doesn't mean you don't break. It means you keep going, even with the cracks." She stared down. "I'm full of cracks." "Then let them stay," Jaren said gently. "They remind you that you survived." For a moment, she said nothing. Then she asked, "Why me?" He frowned slightly. "What do you mean? Why did you save me?" "There were others, stronger, healthier, more useful." Jaren stepped forward slowly. He sat on the edge of a nearby crate. "I didn't save you because you were useful. I saved you because no one else would. And because I saw the way you looked at him, your ex. You weren't scared. You were done." She blinked. "I thought I was broken." "You were fighting, inside, quietly. That's not weakness. That's courage." Her lips parted, but no words came. No one had ever spoken to her like this, not even before the pain started. She had always been a trophy, a decoration. Never a person. Until now. Suddenly, the ship shook slightly. Lights flickered. Blue. They were jumping. Jaren stood and walked back to the cockpit. Lyra followed. The cockpit was wide and filled with blinking lights. She sat in the co-pilot's seat. Jaren adjusted a few buttons. Outside, space folded like a sheet, then exploded into white light as the ship entered hyperspace. Lyra stared in awe. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Jaren nodded. "It is." They sat together in silence for a while. Then she spoke again. "Where are we going?" "To a small colony," he said. "Mostly humans, friendly, no slave markets, no hunters." She looked at him. "Will I be safe there?" "Yes," he said, then added, "And if anyone tries to take you again, they won't live long." There was no anger in his voice, just quiet truth. Lyra smiled for the first time. It was small, soft, but real. "You keep saying you're not a hero," she said. "But I think maybe you are." Jaren looked out the window. "I'm not," he said. "But maybe I can be someone better than I used to be." Lyra looked down at her hands again, not shaking now, not hiding. Just healing. "I want to be better too," she whispered. "You will be," Jaren said. "You already are." And in that moment, a bond grew stronger between the broken girl and the quiet savior, not out of pity, not out of debt, but out of shared pain and hope. The colony of Elisar floated like a pearl in space, far from war zones and crime worlds. It was quiet. Peaceful. But peace didn't erase memory. Lyra stood near the window of Jaren's temporary safe house, a small cabin on a snowy cliff, with glass walls and gentle heat. The sky outside was filled with falling white flakes. She had never seen snow before. She reached out and touched the cold glass. "It's soft, but it bites," she whispered. Jaren, sitting nearby on a chair, looked up from cleaning his weapon. "That's snow for you." She turned. Her long silver hair was tied back now. Her clothes were clean, no more chains, no more torn fabric. She looked like a person again, but inside, she still felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. She sat across from Jaren and asked the question she had been hiding for days. Do you want to know what he did to me? Jaren paused, then set his weapon down. I only want to know if you want to tell me. Lyra took a breath. Her hands trembled slightly. He said he loved me. At first, he bought me clothes, food, gifts. Told me I was special. I believed him. Her voice cracked, but the gifts stopped. The kindness stopped. He locked the doors, took away my voice. He hurt me when I didn't smile. Jaren stayed silent, listening. Lyra continued. When I tried to run, he broke my ribs. Said no one else would want something damaged. Her eyes watered, but she wiped them with the sleeve of her jacket. One night, he sold me to a trader, told me he was doing me a favor. Said at least someone else might enjoy me. She looked down. That's when I stopped being me. I stopped dreaming. I stopped hoping. The fire crackled in the background. Jaren finally spoke. You're not what he said. You're not something broken. You're someone he couldn't break fully. Lyra met his eyes. But I still feel broken. That's normal, he said. Scars don't heal fast. Some never disappear. But they remind you that you lived. Suddenly, the door alert chimed. Jaren stood immediately, his face changing. He walked to the console. A small drone hovered outside, blinking red. Encrypted message, he said. He opened the feed. A hologram appeared, a face with sharp green scales and glowing red eyes. Daver's voice. I know she's with you, human. You think you've rescued her? You think she's clean now? She's still mine, and I'm coming. Lyra froze. Her body turned cold. Jaren shut the message off and smashed the console screen with his fist. No one owns her. He growled. He found us, she whispered. He won't find us again, Jaren said. We move now, she stood. I'm not running again, not like before, Jaren turned. You won't be, not alone. We move smart, not scared. They gathered supplies, weapons, medkits, tracking blockers. Lyra reached for the pistol again. This time, she didn't hesitate. I want to fight, she said. Jaren looked at her. You sure? Yes, she said. Because if I run forever, he still wins, he nodded. Then we fight. As the snowstorm grew stronger outside, two shadows slipped into the cold, heading toward a buried hangar where Jaren's older ship was hidden. But before they left, Lyra turned one last time toward the cabin. She whispered to the quiet room, I'm not the same girl anymore. The mountain winds howled like angry ghosts. Jaren's hidden ship. The ember light lifted off from the frozen valley below Elissir 9. Snow scattered into the sky, disappearing behind the heat of the engine flames. Inside the ship, Lyra sat beside him, strapped into the co-pilot's seat, her hands gripping the edges of the console. Her face was calm. But inside, her heart pounded. Not from fear, from something new. Readiness. They'll come fast, Jaren sighed, scanning the radar. Devore doesn't like losing. He's probably hired half the outer ring bounty system. Lyra's fingers hovered near the blaster at her belt. Then let them come. Jaren looked at her. For a brief moment, a small proud smile touched his lips. You've changed. No, she said. I'm remembering who I was before him. Suddenly a red signal blinked. Here we go, Jaren muttered. We've got two ships, small, fast, and definitely hunting us. Lyra leaned forward. Can we outrun them? No, he said, flipping switches, but we don't need to. He veered sharply left, guiding the ember light into a thick asteroid belt. Jagged rocks floated in all directions like knives waiting. In space. Behind them, the bounty ships followed. Lyra's hands clenched tighter. This is crazy, Jaren smirked. No, this is human. The ship dodged and rolled through the rocks. Lyra watched as one of the bounty ships clipped an asteroid and exploded into a ball of fire. The second stayed on their tail. Persistent, Jaren muttered. Time to get clever. He handed her a small device. You ready to help? What is this? She asked. Pulse mine. Small, smart, deadly. He showed her where to drop it on the ship's back hatch. When I say now, just hit the release. She nodded, heart racing. The other ship closed in. Jaren whispered, now. Lyra slammed the button. The mine shot backward and attached itself to the enemy ship's nose. A second later, boom. The screen flashed white as the ship behind them was ripped apart. Lyra gasped. Not from fear, from relief. We did it, she sighed, eyes wide. You did it, Jaren corrected. They left the asteroid field and entered a quiet stretch of space. For the first time in hours, the radar was clear, but the silence didn't last. A message crackled through the comms, a voice, deep and cruel. You think hiding in rocks makes you safe, human? I'm not done. It was Davor. Lyra felt the chill of his voice crawl over her skin. I know her scent, he growled. I know her heartbeat. I will hunt her across every star. Jaren turned off the message calmly. Let him come, he said. He's chasing ghosts now. But Lyra looked down at her hands and asked, how far do we run before we stop being hunted? Jaren didn't answer at first. Then he said, maybe it's time we stop running. She looked up. What do you mean? He opened a hologram on the table between them. It showed a space station, old, broken, floating near a dying sun. Outpost 73, he said. Abandoned mostly, but I know people there. Tough ones. Survivors. Lyra stared at the station. You want to hide there? No, he said. I want to wait there. She understood. This wasn't escape. This was the beginning of war. As they set course for the forgotten station, Lyra stood in the hallway, holding her pistol. She practiced her grip, her stance, her breathing. She wasn't just preparing for survival. She was preparing for vengeance. She looked at her reflection in the metal wall. The girl in the cage was gone. Now, there was a woman with fire in her eyes. Soon, Davor would see it too. Outpost 73 floated like a ghost in deep space. It was an old mining station, forgotten by time and government. Its walls were rusted, its lights flickered, and most of its systems were broken. But it was still alive barely. And it was perfect. Jaren and Lyra landed the Emberlight on Dock C. Far from any active traffic, the station was quiet. Too quiet. Inside, a small group of survivors huddled in the shadows, smugglers, ex-soldiers, and lost souls. Jaren had helped some of them once. Now they returned the favor. She's not just anyone, Jaren told them. She's a target, and we're baiting the trap. The smugglers nodded. Lyra watched from the corner. Her blaster was in her hands. Her hair was tied back tight. She wore black now, like Jaren, like a fighter, but inside she was shaking. She stepped outside into the cold metal hallway. Jaren followed her. You okay? He asked. She nodded, then shook her head. I don't know. I'm scared, but I'm ready. Is that possible? Yes, he said softly. That's the only kind of ready that matters. She looked up at him. You really think he'll come here? He wants control. And he lost it when you walked away. That makes him dangerous. He'll come. Lyra looked around the station. I used to dream of hiding forever, she whispered. Now, I want to face him. I want him to look at me and see that I survived. You'll do more than survive, Jaren said. You'll win. Suddenly, the alarm lights turned red. Motion sensors flashed on the screen. He's here, someone said. 3 ships docked without warning. One was black with golden markings, Davor's personal cruiser. Lyra's blood turned cold, but she stood still. Jaren touched her shoulder. We stick to the plan. The survivors moved into place. Lyra walked to the control room where she'd have a clear view of the docking bay. She would watch him arrive. She needed to see it with her own eyes. Moments later, Devor stepped out of his ship. He wore fine robes, his green eyes glowing with pride. A small army of hunters followed him, armed, armored, smirking. He raised his voice. I know she's here. The little pet who thought she could escape me. Lyra's jaw tightened. Jaren appeared over the station speaker. Turn around, Devor, or stay and be buried here. Devor laughed. You think your human tricks scare me? I made her. I own her. She's nothing without me. Lyra stepped forward and activated the bass speakers. Her voice echoed loud and clear. You didn't make me, she said. Diavio. Our froze. Lyra continued. You only tried to break me, but I'm still here. And I'm not afraid of you anymore. His face twisted with anger. You dare speak to me like that? After all I gave you? You gave me chains, she said, and now I give you war. Suddenly, lights shut down. Emergency red lights took over. The trap had sprung. Jaren and the smugglers came out from the walls. Weapons raised. Blasters lit the dark. Explosions echoed across the metal halls. Lyra didn't run. She fought. One bounty hunter stormed the hall. Near her, but she held her ground, aimed and fired. The bolt hit his shoulder. He dropped. Her hands were steady now. She moved fast, smart, just like Jaren taught her. In the main chamber, Devor fought like a beast, but Jaren matched him blow for blow. Metal clashed. Sparks flew. You took everything from her, Jaren shouted, blocking a strike. Now you'll answer for it. She was mine. Devor roared. No, Lyra said, stepping into the room. Her blaster pointed straight at him. I was never yours. Devor turned. You don't have the courage, she fired. The blast hit his leg. He fell, screaming. Jaren moved forward, grabbing Devor by the collar and slamming him to the floor. It's over, he said. Lyra walked closer. Her hands no longer shook. She looked down at the monster who once called her his. I'm not your toy. I'm not your slave. I'm not your shame. She looked at Jaren. I'm free now. And Jaren nodded. You've always been, he said. You just didn't know it yet. The station was quiet now. Smoke drifted through the halls. The smell of fire, metal, and something final filled the air. Davor's ships were gone, burned or abandoned. His body lay cold in the holding cell, unconscious and bound. Justice would come for him, but not from Lyra. That part of her life was over. She stood alone on the balcony of Outpost 73, staring into the stars. It was the first time she felt the galaxy was big again, open, full of choices. Not cages. Not chains. Just freedom. Jaren walked up behind her, silent as always. She didn't turn right away. She could feel him by the warmth in the air when he was near. He's not your shadow anymore, Jaren said. He won't follow you past today. I know, she replied softly. They stood together in the silence. For a moment, then she asked, what now? Jaren shrugged slightly. You could stay here, or leave. The Emberlight can take you anywhere. Or, you could come with me. She turned to him. Her eyes searched his face. He continued, not as a debt. Not because I saved you, but because you want to. You're free now, Lyra, truly free. You don't owe anyone anything. She looked down at her hands, once bruised, once chained, now steady, now strong. I used to believe love was control, she whispered. That when someone said they cared, it meant I had to obey. But with you, I didn't have to give anything to be safe. Jaren stayed silent. She stepped closer. You never asked me to change. You never touched me without permission. You never tried to fix me. You just stayed, he finally spoke. Because love isn't a cage, it's the key. She blinked. A tear rolled down her cheek, not from fear or sadness, from peace. I don't know who I am yet, she said. You will, Jaren replied. One day at a time, she smiled. A small, quiet smile. Then take me with you, not because I need saving, but because I want to see who I become with you beside me. Jaren nodded once like a promise. Hours later, the ember light rose. From the station once more, Lyra stood in the cockpit, not behind Jaren now, but beside him. Her blaster hung at her side. Her hair flowed freely. She didn't need armor to feel strong anymore. The stars opened before them. So, Jaren said. Where to? Lyra grinned. Anywhere but back. And with that, the ship jumped to light.free.together.unbroken.